Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Social Work Radio with me, your host Vince Beard. Usually at this point I would say once again and always we are joined by, but Matt, it's only the second podcast you've done. Welcome back, my friend. For those who didn't catch the podcast the other week, would you like to introduce yourself to the social work world?
Yes, so I'm Matt B, write for Social Work News. Obviously worked with you for quite a while, Vince, and it's lovely to be back again.
Someone has to.
And it's nice to be back again to obviously get all festive and talk about all things Christmas.
Yes, happy Christmas, my friend. For those who didn't catch the show the other week with me and Matt have known each other for, 8 years. We used to write for another magazine whose name we shall not mention here. We ended up meeting up that way, and you helped me out with a book. You came to my book launch. You did one of the chapters for it, and we've been good friends ever since.
Yeah, my writing career has always been just following you around since then, really. So whatever you do, I just come along and write along with you, really.
It used to be the other way once, though, you know.
Yeah. Yep. It's and now you're doing podcasts, so I've come along to do basically wherever you go. I'm just going to come along and do the same thing. It's my career plan.
Good luck with that one. It's a foolish one, but good luck. Merry Christmas, everyone. You will be listening to this by the time this is recorded and going out. It will be the Friday before Christmas. So happy Christmas to one and all. What are you looking forward to this Christmas most, my friend? What's Christmas like in House B?
Well, so I guess the thing I'm most looking forward to is, well, there's two things. One is dependent on my 4-year-old daughter, whether she, you know how you plan things and in your head you go, this will be amazing. She's going to love it. Yeah. Last year we took her to a Christmas show and, big theatre and Father Christmas is there and all the songs and dancing and we had her and we had our 1-year-old. And basically we went in and within about 10 seconds, she was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not interested.
Protest.
I don't know what it was. She just was overwhelmed by it. Yeah. So we spent best part of an hour. I ended up in the foyer outside with her running around the carpet while my partner and our other daughter was in there.
It sounds like more fun than the Christmas show. You've given her a better option.
Not really. I mean, it was like a notice board, and it was, I can't remember, getting things. She was taking things off the notice board and running off, and I was trying to get them off her again without getting into trouble with the theatre staff.
Again, sounds like more fun than the Christmas show. You've made it more exciting for your daughter.
The worst thing is I could hear the Christmas show, and it sounded brilliant, and I really wanted to go in. And this is what happens when you have kids, is you get invested in what they're... Like, I get into Peppa Pig episodes, and I want to know what happens at the end, but my daughter wanders off. And I'm then torn between child safety and finding out what happens to Daddy Pig. How do you live with that anxiety hanging over? That unfulfilled quench for the closure? Put it on pause. Pause, go get the child, go back, watch the end. So, but anyway, yes, we're going to hope this year do the same thing. Yeah. And hopefully this year she's going to be a bit more chilled. And I don't know why. We take some great things and she just goes, I'm going to go a bit off topic, but we did the Sea Life Centre, massively into sharks. Yeah. Took her along, didn't want to see them at all. Yeah. Just wanted to go play in the park. So hopefully, though, if she's playing ball, we'll have a really nice time going to see Father Christmas. How many Father Christmases will you have totaled up by the time that Christmas Day comes around? Do you just stick to the one, or do you see numerous? One. Just the one. It's a one shot. That's it. You get one go at this in our house. So, that's it. My kids get to see about 3 or 4. They get to see a few, and it's confusing for them. Well, that's the problem. Do you not have questions? They do have questions, and what we have to say, we almost have to say that these are emissaries of the actual Father Christmas. Essentially, they've been anointed as these emissaries. They're, his messages on earth, I suppose. But like a priest. But I'm in a bit of a dilemma. I've got very young kids. The one's 4, one. Yeah. And we're at that process of telling them all about Father Christmas and also using Father Christmas as a parenting technique. As to, if you're not good, I don't know. He'll get you. But he won't get you. He's not going to get you. No. Sorry. What Father Christmas are you working with? I'm going for like the Krampus style, like the evil Father. So the Father Christmas round the household with my children is he's kind of a fire and brimstone kind of guy. He's like the Old Testament God. We're dealing with the Old Testament Father Christmas around my house. Well, that's a bit of a frightening thought.
Yeah.
So did he bring gifts? Is that part? I mean, what is he? He's not bringing gifts.
He's the carrot and the stick kind. He's the carrot and the stick.
Right, he's bringing the stick.
He's like the good cop. We've got good Father Christmas, bad Father Christmas. If you're good, then the benevolent Christmas will come and he'll leave you gifts. If the bad Christmas comes, he might rock up with some pool balls and a sock.
This is we're going off track already. It reminds me of when we used to do podcasts years ago. We'd always set off in one direction and end up somewhere completely different.
I probably need to be very clear to our listeners. My children will not be beat up on Christmas Day or any time. This is a humorous anecdote, just to be clear. I'm reassuring you and myself and my children.
No, you're making me feel better about what I'm doing with my kids and father, because I'm not doing any of this.
All I'm saying is the bad Father Christmas can be used at times. It's a good cop, bad cop,
No, okay. No, we're just educating them in the traditional sense.
This is the traditional sense. This is the Old Testament Father Christmas.
There is not an Old Testament Father Christmas.
There is one at my house, Captain. There is one at my house.
In your house and no one else's. Yeah. Okay, and not in my house.
This is the kind of Father Christmas. He don't come down the chimney, he kicks the door down.
Right, okay.
That's this, He repels down the side of the house like a SWAT team.
All I know is when we do Christmas, my kids are not coming round your house and hearing these stories.
No, but if they're good, then the Father Christmas won't turn up and with the SWAT team.
You've made this really complicated for your kids. Like literally, mine are just: if you're good, you will get some chocolate, maybe some presents.
Yeah.
That's it. It's tiered, really. It's like entry level.
This is tiered as well. It's just
but it tiers down as well as up. It's just meant to go up.
Exactly. There's more of a spread, though, isn't there? There's more of a spread. Because if the worst thing that happens is the omission of a present, that's not really a punishment. It's the absence of a reward.
I don't know. You've gone off track here. Like, if you want to look at evil, like Bad Christmas, Scrooge, that's your story. That's your go-to thing about, Bad Christmas.
Not Bad Father Christmas.
Not Bad Father Christmas.
He's not really bad. He's more like retribution. Bad Father Christmas and his retribution reindeer.
You're confusing the story of Father Christmas with the film The Equalizer.
Yeah, that's what he's like. He's called the Christmasizer.
Yeah,
that's what he's like.
I think you're creating a new genre of Christmas story here.
What
kind of Christmas cards are there with Bad Father Christmas? Can you guide?
Bad Father Christmas. His Christmas cards come like a bill. They come in a brown envelope with a clear screen, and there's a red one inside, and it basically says, "This is your first notice of bad behaviour. If this continues, I'll pay you a visit. Otherwise, you can amend your ways now."
If he does you a favour, do you have to owe him a favour?
No, because you show your deference to Bad Father Christmas by good behaviour. That's all he wants. He's essentially he's chaotic good. He's Bad Father Christmas. He's chaotic good.
Right. Okay. So to go back to what we were talking about. Yes, I'm going to take my child to a Christmas show, and
that's how you would have controlled her, though. When she was knocking about in the foyer. You would have said, "Hold the line. I think I've got bad. Oh no, it's Bad Father Christmas. He might come pay you a visit." And then she would have gone in and enjoyed the show.
Into the room with Bad Father Christmas. You think that was going to...
It's like a blacked out room full of festive cheer.
No. All I want is we go to this Christmas show, and we don't have this Bad Father Christmas thing that you've made up in your head. Try it. You've not sold it.
Well, have a go.
No. Yeah. Right, so we have Good Father Christmas, singing, dancing, and I just want my children to be happy, really, and have a lovely time. At some point in the future, I'll tell her Father Christmas doesn't exist and just, undo it all.
But why have you've missed out the other Father Christmas, though, haven't you? You've only told her half the story.
Which other Father Christmas?
The Bad Father Christmas. Well, that's probably the wrong word.
The way you've described it, bad is the perfect word.
He's like
trauma. He's had a traumatic childhood, Father Christmas.
He's like Clarkson. He's like the Clarkson family Christmas. Father Christmas.
Jeremy Clark.
He's like Clarkson. He's like the Clarkson of Christmas. Straight up.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think you're on
Your
your
Father
own.
Christmas is more James May.
No, my Father Christmas is more Father Christmas.
I just think you're missing out. Right. Merry Christmas. So, have a think. We'll maybe catch up in the new year and we'll see how these different approaches to Father Christmas have worked.
I feel like I should ask you about your Christmas plans, but I daren't really. I mean, but what's the one thing? Okay, so Christmas. What's the one thing you're looking forward to?
Do you know what I love about Christmas? It's coming together as a family. It's having that time off. It's having that time and being together. I love it. I love that festivity. I love carol singing. I love Christmas movies. I love Christmas movies. I love just sitting and feasting myself. I call it the Christmas bulk. I started bulking. I went to Berlin a few weeks ago, so I started my bulk in Berlin. Went to Berlin Christmas markets and my kind of Christmas bulk started then.
What do you mean Christmas bulk?
By putting on weight for Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like a bulk. Like bulk, like if you're a bodybuilder, you talk about bulking, which is putting on mass.
Yeah.
I put on a mass around Christmas. I call it the Christmas bulk. So that started when I was in Berlin at the Christmas markets, full of glühwein, non-alcoholic, and chips, and sausage, and festive cheer. So I like the Christmas bulk. I like just being able to be there, in your pajamas, just chilling out, watching telly in front of the fire. That's what I like about Christmas. When I was younger, obviously, I used to like the presents, but now I prefer the presents rather than the presents.
Do you actually care about? I mean, I honestly just don't care about presents now. As a grown up, I don't know.
I like giving them.
Do you like getting them?
Yes, I do.
Do you like giving them to other adults? Actually,
yeah, particularly what I like is I start buying presents like in October, November. But what I tend to get a lot of the time these days is presents that mean, rather than just what people want, that mean a bit more, like activities, events that we can do things. But yeah, I like it because it's, for me, it's a way of an act of service, like gift giving. It's just everyone has different love languages and different acts of service, but I enjoy it. It means a lot to me. I like that gift giving. Now I know everyone's different. Some people actually totally just check out of that and say, well, I'm not going to get you a present, you don't get me a present. We've been doing that without saying it for 10 years now, Matt, so we're on that level. Well done. But yeah, it does. I enjoy festivities. I enjoy marking the passing of time. I enjoy doing those things. So whether it's Christmas, birthdays, Easter, I think we should be celebrating. Again, listen, everyone should, but for me, I think we should be celebrating those times, because if you don't find the joy and beauty in everyday life and times like that, then I think you maybe potentially miss out. I don't know. When I didn't have kids, not so much, but since having kids, I've rediscovered that festive spirit.
Yeah, I like to give a gift that means something, and what I hate though is that I got you a gift because I had to get you a gift.
No, I don't do that. Yeah.
That's what I've kind of stopped doing. But it's hard though, because also when your life's really hectic, it's hard to actually find the time to really think about what someone would like and go and find it.
It can be difficult. Right, let's finally move on from the talk of bad Father Christmas, and let's start talking about social work. In this festive edition, my friends, we are going to be just having a bit of a reflection on what it's like to be a social worker at this time of year. Matt's talked a bit about what it's like to be a parent and a person this time of year. Let's talk about, being a social worker. Before we get into that, though, I just want to start by saying thank you ever so much to you guys for listening to us throughout the year. We've had over 100,000 of you tune into our shows this year. About 120,000 to be precise, actually. So thank you ever so much for all your listens, all your shares, all your likes, and the fact that you tune in week after week. We got an average of about 2,000 listeners per show. So thank you ever so much for all your interest, and Merry Christmas to you all. Matt, what's it like to be an adult social worker at this time of year and do your current job? You've spent, your entirety, short period working with children, but aside from that, your entirety generally working. Have you never worked with children?
No. I've told you this before, but I got told not to work with children by children.
Did you not have a placement with children?
No, I've always done adults, and then I applied for a job working with children. They had children on the interview panel, and the feedback I had was maybe work with adults. And that was as close as I ever got.
That was it. You went for an interview. So tell me, obviously I can only come from a children's perspective. Obviously Christmas is intrinsically tied into more or less all children's lives if they're celebrated. What's it like to be an adult social worker in this time of the year, and what's it like to do your current job at this time of the year, particularly obviously working with addiction?
Yeah, so in addiction, it's really quite interesting in terms of the extra pressures and difficulties people are going to go through at this time. So particularly with alcohol, it's everywhere. So you have a lot of people struggling with the amount of messages they get to drink. But also with drugs in general, there's a lot of change that people must go through. Their routines change, the support networks change. A lot of people stay well by going to groups. Those groups don't always go on. So one of the problems with addiction services in general is that we generally work 9 till 5 Monday to Friday, but actually you're most likely to relapse on weekends and in the evenings when we're not at work. And over Christmas, that's doubly the case because obviously we're on leave and things like that. So it's kind of an odd mix, really. Your groups get more relaxed, people get more kind of festive, and people who are doing well tend to do even better because they really relax into it. And people who are struggling often struggle more. So you get polarized really with who you're trying to help and how you help them. But it's a bit, it's you kind of also start to pull back a bit on your really intense kind of therapy work you're doing with people. You don't really want to push them through lots of hard things through Christmas.
And then leave them without.
So you start winding that back early December, and you do more check-in work and you do more kind of relapse prevention work. You try and just look after people and keep them well and safe through Christmas to pick things up in the year. You wouldn't want to be starting big heavy work if you don't have to.
Is the job more challenging? Obviously, it's more challenging for those suffering, those that you support. But does the job become more challenging as a result of that? Or does the harder work tend to come January when you're picking up the pieces?
I think addiction, anyone working addiction might not agree with me on this, but I actually find it's probably a bit easier over Christmas because it's not a crisis service as such. So if people go into crisis, often we're making sure they're safe, but then signposting them on rather than having to do that work ourselves. So I wouldn't say it's different, but I wouldn't say it's hugely more challenging, provided you've done your hard work already. So you're really looking out and anticipating things if you've done that well.
So how long in advance do you start planning for the festive period then? When does the kind of pre-work to manage this time start with clients?
I guess everyone's a bit different. I tend to work 6 weeks in advance of myself, so sort of thinking about...
So you'd have been doing this work from like mid-November onwards, really?
Yeah, because this is one of the really great things about working in addiction. It's why social work really... We need more social workers coming into addiction because they've got the great skill set for it. In general, adult services now, statutory services, where I worked for 10 years or so, we would do assessment and then commission the care. Do risk assessments, review it, do your safeguarding work, but you wouldn't really do the work yourself. You'd always be kind of moving the work onto other people.
It's referring. Social workers, you very rarely do the work, you just case manage.
And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to actually do the work. So actually in addiction, you get to do that. So you'll do your assessment work, you'll plan out, actually we want to do this piece of work and we want to try and achieve these goals. So your recovery plans will be generally for 3-month periods. And you'll work through that, you'll review it all the time. But you'll be the one meeting someone. So you'll get to know them really, really well. And that's the really different thing, I guess. Like in this field and in this job, I know my clients so much better than I ever did in statutory services. So it leaves you vulnerable as well to being more kind of invested in them. And when they struggle, you kind of really feel it.
Because it's on you.
Yeah,
the assessment and the intervention is on you.
Yeah, it's that, but you just really know them as a person. So
is that ever a risk, or does that ever, if you become that embedded with your clients, is that not a risk?
Not where you need good supervision to make sure that you're sticking to your boundaries. Exactly. So that is a risk. And one of the problems that we might have in addiction services is it's not a qualified role in the same way that social work is. I happen to be a social worker. It hasn't got the
same regulations around it then.
No, and it's something that is going to change. Next year there'll be some person specifications coming out about telling us what a recovery worker should be, how they should work.
But you still don't have a professional code of conduct, do you? You've got the grounds for keeping people within the remit is simply disciplinary one. You don't have the same professional regulator like you do for social work.
No. So it's really down to the supervision element to make sure that you're working correctly and you've got these boundaries in place. And then, like I say, over Christmas, it can be really interesting to share the journey that people are on. And some people will be on a really good journey, and they'll have reconnected with family and friends this year while they've been getting better. And this will be their first Christmas sober.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah, and you get to experience that working alongside them. So it's really rewarding to see someone have that and reconnect. Like, some people have lost touch with their children because of the addictions that they've struggled with, and now this is their first Christmas with children. So you get to see all that, and that's really heartwarming. But you also get the flip side, which is some people will have a very difficult Christmas.
Similar in children's social work, really, because Christmas is either something to work towards or something to fear. When we're working in care proceedings, quite often Christmas is, I'll try and get them home for Christmas. It's a really, really big motivator. On the flip side, the idea of being separated from your children on Christmas, because that's something you work towards. You've got the memories. It's the kind of pinnacle everybody's working towards, that Christmas with the children. It can be difficult indeed. Christmas in child protection and social work, it doesn't really have the same kind of peaks and troughs that you're talking about, because child protection and social work, a significant portion of referrals come from schools. When schools are closed, you don't have the referrals coming through. So your front door, your duty and assessment teams, you're not getting the same level of referrals through. That's not to say the problems aren't there. The problems simply aren't being picked up on. So you do have a little bit of leeway. As well, you have a bit more leeway because if you've got school-aged children, your visits to them have to be on the evenings, have to be late afternoon. You don't do that, so you can do them earlier in the day. You can see children at home with their families in a bit more of a natural environment. So you kind of buy yourself a bit of time that way. You kind of claw back time because you don't have, usually your meetings aren't taking place. They've taken place a couple of weeks before. So because of that, the day-to-day element of social work, which almost takes you away from families, new referrals coming in, meetings, things like that, having to squeeze visits in and around school, you get a bit of slack. Now, that slack, however, can be taken up by real crisis periods. Basically, things don't go off as much that time of year, in my experience. When they do go off, they really go off because you're having to find a placement for a child on Christmas Eve. You're having to keep a family together when it's about to be a breakdown. And because it's Christmas, the anxiety, the emotions, the feelings around this are all ramped up. I remember one experience. It was the first year I was a social worker, so it was 11 years ago now. I remember one experience when we had a teenage boy who presented at the town hall as homeless on Christmas Eve morning. He'd been out on the session with his friends, had a good drink the night before, come back, there'd been a kick-off with the parents. Now, this was one of those cases where, they'd kind of called each other's bluff. The dad had said, "I will go find your new home, then go and live somewhere else." He'd said that I will, and it had escalated, they'd ramped each other up. He'd ended up presenting at the town hall. And that was very difficult to deal with on my first Christmas Day. Luckily, through some mediation, we managed to get him back home. Other memories of Christmas that are more kind of common from a child protection perspective: delivering food parcels, delivering Christmas hampers, delivering toys. Quite often they'll go above and beyond and you'll supervise contacts. So generally speaking, in child protection and social work, those guys who work in this field, they'll know you supervise contact tends to be done by the contact service. You have a contact team, they've got specific contact workers. A lot of the time they'll shut down over Christmas and they'll stop. So if you want a parent to see their children that are in care or living with a connected family member or in residential care around Christmas, you can step up and do it yourself. And I'm not going to say I like that because obviously you don't like to be in those situations, but Christmas as a child protection social worker, I think it's perhaps the one time of year where you can see a tangible difference in your efforts the most. Because like you were saying there about the difference between adult and children's and the difference between your old work and adults and what you're doing now, you actually get to do the work. At Christmas, you can see, right, I'm going to give up 2 hours of my time. I'm going to supervise this contact. This child gets to see their parents on Christmas Eve. I'm going to go out and I'm going to make the effort. I'm going to work a little bit later. I'm going to deliver food parcels. That family's going to have food on Christmas Day. I'm going to deliver toy packages that have been donated by a local charity drive. I'm going to, make the effort to get that, teenager that I was talking about, over a decade ago, back with the family. It's almost like you get the opportunity to spread a little bit of Christmas cheer, do Christmas miracles. I think it is a magical time to be a social worker, I really do.
It's strange, isn't it? Because you go into social work thinking it's going to feel like that all the time,
exactly.
don't you?
That's what you think you're going to do. Bingo.
Yeah. And then you get that. And I guess that if we could change the profession in any way, it'd be like, I'd like to feel like that more often. I would like that feeling of, I did something and it made some difference to someone, and I can see that.
Very good point.
Do you know what I mean? And it is, you're right, like at Christmas, you do those things and you can see it and feel it. It's just that, Do you think it's a bit strange though? Like I used to find this tricky, particularly when I worked in, say, safeguarding teams and adult services. The contrast around Christmas between the festivities and the happiness and the jingles on the radio and the boxes of chocolates in the office and everyone's feeling in a festive mood, but then you're still dealing with potentially threatening crises and problems, and it's just, I found it really hard, like straddling.
It's jarring, isn't it? Yeah. The office atmosphere compared to the work. But look, there's two ways of looking at that. One is that a contrast can jar. If you step out of the sunlight and into the dark, you miss the sun. The other way is that's a reprieve from it. If you've got a safe haven in the office where everybody's jolly and everybody's happy, you potentially got a safe haven from it. But I always look at the positive, so I would say it's a safe haven. It's positive. Let's move on. Let's talk about a few jollier things. Let's move it to a bit of a Christmas festive feel. Matt, one question, but with two elements to it. What's your favourite Christmas movie, and what lessons do you think could be taken from it for social work? Shoot.
Okay, well, I answered this question about a year ago in the
We're doing it again.
Well, no,
you haven't done it on the podcast. Are you going to change your answer?
No, I'm not, because I did think I thought, okay, I'll have a look at what I said last time, and have I got a different answer? And I haven't, because it was the Muppets Christmas Carol last time, and the Muppets Christmas Carol rather than just Christmas Carol, because the Muppets always bring a bit of fun really to the film. So I really enjoyed just watching that. It's quite nostalgic for me because it's from when I was growing up. I used to watch it then. But in terms of the social work elements to it, there are there. Like Tiny Tim survives and manages well because he gets the right support. I think that's a pretty social work kind of message to it. But I guess the big thing is about the idea of wealth. And, Scrooge has all the money and he doesn't give any of it away. And he's very much sort of seen as a bad guy for doing that. And I think that's quite, it's quite interesting. That's a healthy way to look at Scrooge. That's a healthy way to look at people who have loads of money and don't give any of it away and basically squirrel it away. I think maybe we don't always see that in mainstream society. Like we actually glamorize people with lots of money. I was thinking, oddly enough, I was thinking about this and thought, I follow these YouTube channels of people with supercars, and they're forever buying more supercars.
Never happy.
But they're always buying more and more, and the audience is always, the comment section is always, oh, great, excellent, you've bought another one. I love the fact you've bought another one. It's amazing. And you just think, how many people in the comment section actually have any money? Like there's one at the moment, I'm going to go slightly off topic here, but there's a guy I'm following, he's just saved up enough money. We sold one Ferrari to buy another one worth like £250,000. And the comments in the section was literally like, we're so pleased for you. Wow. We'll do anything we can to help you, to make sure you can do this. You deserve to get this car because you've done so well on your YouTube channel for 10 years. And I thought, fine, okay, people are living vicariously through that. But some part of it is like, you don't need any more supercars. Surely you could donate something or give a supercar away just do something other than buy more supercars. And I like in Scrooge that actually no one does that. No one goes, oh, Scrooge, it's brilliant that you're keeping all your money to yourself. It's all, it's like that story of redemption of actually when he starts giving it away and he starts taking care of people really kind of embrace him and he becomes part of the community. I like that. I like that kind of redistribution, that kind of equality. But most of all, I like the Muppets. I can't put that in a social work context. It makes me laugh. It makes me chuckle. So yeah, I enjoy. I can't think of a better answer because I'm not massively into the only other Christmas film I could think was Die Hard, and I can't think of a social work context for Die Hard. Christmas
Carol is in. The Muppets Christmas Carol is in. I will have to go Home Alone. As a child protection social worker, I love Home Alone. It's one of my favourite Christmas movies anyway. I would have to go Home Alone simply because it's the glaring failures from a child protection perspective. Firstly, you've got real massive issues with that family, the dynamic between, Kevin and Buzz. You've got a very strange family dynamic.
Buzz is the bully.
Buzz is the older brother.
The bully.
Yeah. You've got a very strange dynamic there that isn't sorted. You've got a strange family dynamic with like the uncle who's kind of weird and criticizes Kevin in front of anybody. The fact that Kevin's left behind, the fact they get all the way, on the plane and they're away down to, Florida and they've left him. I think you have no, it's Paris. The first one's Paris. The second one's Florida. The fact that the police come out and don't do the visit correctly, the fact that he's just given up, the fact that he's left to fend for himself, it is a glaring insight into the massive difficulties that you face when multi-agency child protection proceedings aren't followed. Now, fair enough, this film's set in the early 90s, it's set in 1990, so you could maybe say that things have changed since then, but still, you've got an 8-year-old child who's left home alone and he's left to fend for himself against the wet bandits.
The Wet Bandits?
The Wet Bandits.
Is that the actual name?
That's the name of the,
Oh, okay.
That's the name of the burglars. In the second film, it's the Sticky Bandits, but in the first one, it's the Wet Bandits.
Yeah, but the lesson from Home Alone, I don't know. It seems to be, actually, it's quite fun to be left home alone if you're 8. It seemed to...
Is it fun? He's almost murdered. I mean, he's got 2 burglars trying to kill him.
Well, there was that downside to it, yes. But he also...
Okay, fair enough. Just a slight downside.
But he was sledging down the stairs, wasn't he, in one of these things? And he was... What else did he do? He got up to all sorts of fun. He went shopping by himself. He learnt independence. He did... what else?
And learns to brush his teeth.
He what, sorry?
He learns to brush his teeth. And he brushes his teeth by himself, puts on the old...
The aftershave?
The aftershave.
Yeah. I think,
His diet isn't very good, though. He ends up just eating sugary junk.
Again.
And watching angels with dirty faces. He ends up watching a horror film.
Well, if you're 8...
You filthy animal.
But, no, I don't know. I mean, it's... as a social work film, or as a message, as a public health message, it sort of suggests...
It's quite fun to leave your kids at home, and they're going to be all right. Character building. He manages.
He manages well.
And he does bring 2 criminals to justice.
Not only does he feed, clothe himself, manage all the housework, he also defends the property from 2 burglars.
And he changes the neighbour's view of Old Man Marley.
Yes.
Old Man Marley, who they all think murdered his family, he reconnects Old Man Marley with his family as well. Kevin is the social worker.
So actually the message from that is he should be left alone at home because the world's better. Like if he hadn't been, none of that would have happened.
We don't want to go down this route. You're correct, but we don't want to go down that route. Right, we're going to end on this. So it's a very good point. We're going to end on this one. What's on your Christmas social work list this year? We wrote an article about this last year, but it's a week till Christmas. What are you hoping to find in your social work stocking come Monday?
Right. Okay. I've got 2 answers.
What 2 things are you hoping to find in your social work stocking?
Big. One's big.
You need a big stocking. Shoot.
First one.
Yeah.
World peace.
Okay.
No, I just thought...
This isn't Miss Universe.
No, but it's been such a difficult year for conflicts and tragedies. And things have happened and you thought, I can't believe, I just can't connect on any level with this. I can't understand how this is happening.
Yeah.
So, I would like somehow, as a species, for us to sit down and just agree we're not going to do that.
What's your big one? What's your little one?
I want to get rid of Microsoft Teams.
What are you going to replace it with?
Well, no, it's not actually Microsoft Teams. I have to use it a lot in my job. I do training, so I use it a lot for training. It's not that I hate it, it's the fact it won't go away. So whenever you turn on your computer, it just starts when I'm doing something else. And the other thing is it never starts on time. So it always arrives 10 seconds too late. So it's always waited for me to get on with something. Yeah. It's like it never leaves for work early enough. It just every day, right, it just does this thing. And I'm like, go away. And then I find myself waiting to get rid of it before it fires up, but then it doesn't. And then I think it waits until I'm halfway through something and then stops. So if I can't have world peace, I would like Microsoft to sort out that. Just get it to start when I start.
I'm not sure which is more realistic.
Yes, well, that's a fair point. Yeah. So yeah, I would take.
We'll go for both then. You could have Bad Santa will try and give you both.
No, I don't want Bad Santa to do anything for me because I think it feels like I'll owe him afterwards. I don't know what the other part of this will be. What?
I've come for pay. It's bad. Oh no, Bad Santa's at the door. He's come for his pay. He's come for his pound of flesh.
Exactly. I don't even know what Bad Santa would be asking for, but I wouldn't want to know. So, What about yourself? What's on your social wish list?
Yeah, I'm going to go for a more realistic one. Maybe Bad Santa might be able to grant this. I want professional unity. I am sick and tired of the infighting between social workers, between different factions of our profession. We disagree over the 1% where we differ and fail to agree and come together over the 99%. There are different departments fighting amongst each other, different academics fighting against each other, academics fighting against social workers, frontline social workers fighting against managers, policymakers. Everyone's saying they hate the government. Everybody's saying they hate the chief social worker. Well, people like the adult chief social worker, not so much the children's chief social worker. It's just, there's just so much wasted time and effort and dialogue spent social workers arguing amongst one another over whose idea is right, rather than actually doing something. No wonder we don't have collective action. No wonder we don't have a unified voice when we spend so much time arguing against one another, petty criticisms of one another over choice of language, what models we ascribe to, who we believe's right, what funding we should go for. We don't really have a unified professional voice. We don't really have a leader. We don't really have like a social work hero we could unite behind. Nothing really galvanizes us in social work and ties us together. We're a very fractured and splintered profession. And I think that Christmas is a time of year when we can put those differences aside, come together, all agree where we should be going, all agree with the 99% of things that bind us together, and start actually trying to make a collective difference for a better profession for us all, and most importantly, for the people we support.
Do you think that's also, part of this is because we're aware what people think because of social media, because that's where people voice things. But social media by its nature is quite divisive, isn't it? It does kind of set people up into conflict. So do you think that's a fair representation of the profession, or is it just the people who end up on social media?
I think it is. I think it's a fair representation of the profession because we've got 100,000 social workers, but only 20,000 are members of BAS. We've only got 1 in 5 social workers who's a member of the British Association of Social Workers. We have a profession that doesn't have strong leadership. We have a profession that doesn't have a strong image. If you compare the social work profession to the collective action taken by doctors and nurses and teachers and so on, we don't have that. So I think, yes, social media does amplify things, but you can find many, many reasons beyond social media which show that out. Look, even basic things like we couldn't get the innovation clause through. This was years ago, but more recently, it was proposed that social workers would join the Emergency Services Act, where essentially people who assaulted emergency service workers can be subject to more harsh punishment than social workers. We were arguing amongst our profession about whether we should have that or not. Some people bizarrely arguing, well, actually, it's better for our clients if they don't get punished for attacks on social workers. We should actually, let them not be punished further. Arguing that somehow protecting social workers was dividing us from the people we support. So I think it goes far. Yes, look, you'll always get people on social media who just want to add a bit of spice to their own boring lives by having a go at people. That's the way it is in anything. I follow a lot of football and boxing accounts on my personal Twitter, and that happens all the time on there. But we see this beyond social media. Yes, we see it amplified on social media, and that's the tip of the iceberg, but I think we see it beyond. I just think our profession's capable of so much, and if we came together, we could do a lot more. So that's what I think we should have this year. We're going to end on this note, Matt, a quick message to the profession. So, pass your Christmas wishes on to our listeners and our readership.
You've really built that up as if I had something I would.
It's a closing speech. It's your closing. Imagine you've got an award at the Oscars. This is your speech.
I haven't prepared.
It's a time to shine.
All I can say is Merry Christmas, everyone. Have a lovely time. I can't.
Well, say it again, but say it in earnest.
Actually, I say it like you say it.
Yeah.
Like when you introduce the podcast.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Don't take the mic. You're making it bad now.
No, I do hope everyone has a really nice festive period, and it will be in the magazine. I'm sure by the time this is aired, I've written a piece in there about being able to switch off at Christmas, so that the idea that it's not just about work, it's also about reconnecting with your personal life, with the people that you want to spend time with, and giving yourself that kind of freedom to enjoy that guilt-free, because that's part of being alive as well, is having that time with people rather than just what you can do as a job. So I really hope people take that opportunity and enjoy it.
Well said, my friend. And I would just echo that by saying, Merry Christmas to one and all. Thank you ever so much for all your views, likes, subscriptions, shares, and listens over the course of this past year. It's been a wonderful one in terms of the magazine, in terms of the podcast. As Matt said earlier, it's been a difficult one in terms of the world, but the fact that we're here and you support us in terms of what we're doing to shine a light onto social work issues on a macro and a micro level is really important. I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. I hope you get time to switch off and spend it with your friends and family. And I hope you take a well-deserved rest. You've worked very hard this year. The things that all you guys do for your clients and those you support, you're doing heroic deeds every day, many of which go unheralded and unheard of. So do take some time off for yourself. You deserve it. Spend it with your loved ones. Spend it doing whatever you want, and we will catch you in the new year. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me.